Welcome. Incoming message.
This is the May Contain Action podcast
on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and more.
3, 2, 1, 0. All systems active.
Welcome, everyone, to the May Contain Action podcast show brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below the belt grooming, hosted by a headphone model and now a new member of the New York Mets. I am Paul, aka ActionJaxon. That is the aforementioned host number one. Host number two is my good buddy, Trevor May, everyone.
That's me. That's me. I'm here. We are not live. I cannot see chat, but I know you're out there and I know you're listening. Someone's listening to somewhere, and I appreciate you. Just know that I appreciate you. Thank you for that wonderful intro. I'm so excited to be here.
We have made it. We are at the end of 2020. Thank the Lord. It's taken a long time to get here. But we wanted to give you guys a little video slash obviously podcast of some of our favorite moments. Now, not every single favorite moment, obviously, but some of our favorite moments from 2020, this past year, in review, in memoriam. I don't know. Goodbye, 2020.
Yes. Goodbye,
memoriam.
You devil. Devil year. You brutal devil.
Awful year.
It's really bad. Really bad. But there was lots of good too. I've been looking, I was like, okay, end of the year, right? You got to think content creation, low hanging fruit, recaps of the year, aka this podcast. But we've been a podcast for a year. Like this not only is this like by 2020, middle finger, this is more like, this is our first year of being a pod. We kept it up for an entire year. We made that joke about 13 episodes and how it was that was it, and we blew past that, and we've had literal, like, we can actually say this, dozens of amazing guests.
We've had dozens of guests.
We've met so many people. We've learned so much. Hopefully the viewers and listeners have learned a ton too. But this is a little bit of a celebration of us having our first year, first of many, we hope, and we got a lot of exciting things coming up in the next year for you. But obviously not all of our favorite moments can't fit into an episode. I'm sure there's some people out there who have made it very clear they would love to hear a 10-hour episode. We're not going to do that.
No,
but we're excited to at least touch back on a lot of these things as we move into 2021, where we have a bunch of amazing guests once again already lined up.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for you guys to listen to some of these favorite moments. Everything from one of my favorite moments was listening to just King Richard and him talking about his time growing up in Philadelphia, the inner city. That was fascinating to me. All the way up to my mind breaking with Milton talking about how we're all in a simulation. I don't understand it still, and I refuse to. But these are just some of our favorite moments. And we actually have some of your favorite moments as well. We've asked you guys on Twitter, what are your best favorite times or moments or segments of the episodes that we've had over the past year, and we threw a couple of those in here as well. So I hope you guys enjoy them. I hope 2021 is a better year for all of us. And I'm looking forward to what we have with the podcast coming up as far as May Contain Action and things other than that. I'm really jazzed up.
Friends.
And friends. Yes.
Foreshadowing. So we just, we got, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing year in a lot of ways. I mean, I went back, I did a playlist that I updated every week, but I went and looked, and I have like 600 or 700 songs in this aggregate playlist from the whole season, or the whole whole year.
700.
So I'm gonna go put all those songs up as a playlist. Like, here's the whole song. That's cool. There's a bunch of amazing music in there, dude. 2020 brought us Blinding Light. Come on, that sounds amazing. I love that
song is so good.
Right? Yes, I know. Blinding Light came out in 2019. A lot of good stuff, and I think the podcast is a testament to that. We talked about a lot of hardship and a lot of things we went through, but we got to stay relevant. We got to talk to people who who had different opinions and different perspectives on a lot of stuff. We got a really cool. We approach this whole content creation thing from so many angles. So hopefully you guys learned a lot. I mean, I'm excited to meet all the new people and to show you all the new stuff we have working behind the scenes, because we think it's time to take this thing to the next level, right? And that's all we're going to tell you, because it isn't 2021 yet. It's only 2020. So I'd say without further ado, enjoy these top moments, some of our favorites and also some of your favorites. Thank you guys for being patrons of the May Contain Action podcast, and we hope to see you in 2021.
Classified, we want to know as well, to kind of get to know you a little bit better. What did you do before? We kind of talked about it, right? You were like in first grade trying to figure out how to spell dog. But what did you do before streaming, before content creation? What did you do for work, or were you going to school? What was early Classify like before you got into all this?
I can answer both of those. I went to college. I actually went to college in the city. That's why Shake Shack was elite. But it's funny enough, me and Yasso went to the same college for like a year and a half.
Yasso?
Oh, really? What's cool?
Yeah. Hunter.
Okay.
No, yeah, and we didn't even know it. Like, we literally didn't even know that we were in the same college up until we both moved here. And like, I think like 5 months into like being here in 100 Thieves and stuff, we were at a party or something. I'm like, we just started talking, and I'm from New York, and he's like, oh yeah, me too. I'm from New York City basically, and he's like, oh yeah, me too. I'm like, oh, I went to college here, and he's like, oh yeah, me too. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, man. But no, yeah, it's kind of cool. But we both dropped out to, and I was like, oh shit, that's when we went to move here. But no, the job I had was, it was actually it was like a nice job, but it was kind of like it wasn't that good. It was, I was working at a pharmacy with like a couple blocks away from my house, and it was really nice just because it was like only cash, and it was like elite, and the hours were like really good. Like, it was kind of like part time, because I would work on, I had school Monday through Friday, so like I would work, actually Monday through Thursday, and I would work there Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Nice. Okay.
And it was like really lenient, you know what I mean? Like, I could be on my phone, like I could listen to music all day, just stock shelves, and then like I would like work two things there. I would stock shelves and like pills, like count pills for people. Let's say you need like this many pills, so like I'll be behind the counter. I would give them this many pills, pack it, and then I was like, damn, if I fuck up, one of these people could just either it would either make their day or have diarrhea for the whole day. So I'm like, I really can't.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you were actually supposed to be doing that, to be honest.
I don't know.
Completely honest with you. I don't know if that's legal
either.
But
I was.
You're a young impressionable kid.
I don't know if they just let anyone pack these things or what.
Low key, you could if you were in the pre-med. Like if you're on a pre-med course, they let you do it. So okay. No, yeah, I was good on that front. Like, I wasn't like stupid. Like, I took it seriously.
Good. Good. Good.
But it was really funny because that was when I started like actually streaming. Like the mob kind of formed and everything, and I would like start streaming. And I had this one chick at work. Like, she's one of my best friends. Her name's Susan. And she's still there and stuff. And she's trying to be like a real pharmacist. So we would go to work. And I would come in like tired as fuck. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just pulled an all-nighter, and like work would start like 8 a.m. So I'm like, I just pulled an all-nighter. She's like, doing what? I'm like, oh, I was streaming. And she's like, like, when are you gonna stop that? Like, focus on school and like all this shit. Like, she was like a really like book-based person. And then like eventually, like months went on, and I came to work one day, and she's like, oh, those are new sneakers. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, those are nice. I'm like, yeah. And I would come in with like I didn't really buy myself too much shit. So like, again, like once every like 2 months, she'd be like, oh, that's dope. And then eventually like she like kind of found out like, oh, I made more than her in one day than she made in like 3 weeks. And she's like, oh, like damn, I always believed in you. I'm like, shut your ass up. I'm like, Susan, shut your ass up, Susan.
It's a tale as old as time.
No, literally. I'm like,
you believe me now?
No, yeah, and it was
got
great.
That cheddar?
It was great because this other kid, like my other best friend Ron, like, because we were all like actually best friends from like elementary school, and we all got the same job there in the pharmacy, and because we like kind of like told the boss like, oh, you should hire him, you should hire her, and it's just nice because he always like from the beginning he was like, oh yeah, I think you're gonna like just stick with it, like you'll do good. And then I was like, Susan, you ain't shit. I was like, Ron, you the homie, bro. But no, yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's where I worked.
Okay. And then when did you decide to go full time?
in like I think 2018 spring, I was like, at that point, I couldn't wait. Like, I saw no necessity of going like not wasting, but like 8 hours a day working there when I could be growing my stream, just stuff like that, just like streaming and spending time home rather than doing that, coming home tired and not streaming for like 2-3 hours. So I was like, I kind of went full time in like spring of 2018. So it's been like 2 years now, and they're both still working there.
So Richard, we wanted to have a question in here as well that's kind of a little bit more tailored to some of the current events as well. And I kind of want to get your opinion on this before we head into our game. That is, because we have a game lined up, which I'm very excited about. It's gonna be fantastic. So obviously, Richard, recently, like you know, the climate in America has been kind of wild. A lot of things going on in the States as far as protests and whatnot, and racial inequality. I just kind of want to get your opinion. What's your take recently been on some of the companies that have come out? Because I think that's an interesting one. A lot of the companies within gaming industry have kind of come out and said like, hey, we're in support, or maybe some have been a little bit more silent or subversive. I don't know what your take is in particular on those companies, and if you found one that you're like, oh wow, I didn't expect that from them. That's really awesome that they would do that or not. And how has racial inequality affected you in your content creation and your streaming? Have you experienced it more or less maybe than you thought you would?
So I'm from Philadelphia, the hood part of Philadelphia. So I've witnessed racism on a systematic level like my entire life, through schooling, through the school system, and so many other ways.
Yeah.
So this, to me, like a lot of what's going on and a lot of the attention that's being brought to a lot of these issues, I think it's amazing that it's happened. I think it's great, but I don't think any of this stuff is new. I think this stuff has been going on. So to me, it's like not really that like surprising. I'm happy that it's happening, but it's like this stuff has been going on for so long.
Yeah.
And with the company standing up and speaking out on it and stuff, honestly, like I know you said, is there any companies in particular that I didn't expect it from? And honestly, I didn't expect it from any company. That's what's like kind of crazy. It's like because it's not something that I've seen. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but standing up for equal rights and Black rights hasn't been something that major companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, have done in the past. I haven't seen it personally.
Sure. Yeah.
And if it did happen, I would like to be educated to know, because as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen that in my 31 years of existence on the planet. It just never was a thing.
The only one that's come close is a company that I used to work for, hysterically in the past, is Apple. They've just kind of been on the forefront of a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I've seen Apple been on the forefront of just diversity in general.
Exactly.
And I've seen a lot of companies on the forefront of diversity in general. Yeah. Especially in, assisting the LGBTQ community and things like that.
Yes.
But when it comes to systematic racism and oppression of Black people, I haven't really seen many companies like stand up and stand against that.
That's fair. Yeah.
I've actually seen companies like be a part of it, which has been like a major problem. And now that we have all these major companies standing up, I think it's just amazing. I think it's an amazing time that we live in. I think it's a crazy time with everything that's going on. But at the same time, it's an amazing time because with the stuff that's happening, we are actually starting to see change happening. And as a content creator, being a content creator, and I hate to say it, and I usually don't talk about it, but now that this is the topic of discussion around the world, I usually don't talk about it. But as a content creator, I am usually the only Black guy in the room, or the only black guy in the directory. Like literally, you can hit any directory on Twitch unless it's like NBA 2K or Madden. You can hit any directory on Twitch, and you're not going to see many people of color. Just in general, let alone people of color like doing really really good. Like I streamed Call of Duty and for like maybe 8 hours, and for 6 of those hours, I was the #1 guy on COD in the directory. So being that only guy has been my whole career. Like whether it's Elder Scrolls Online, For Honor, Destiny, I've been one of the very, very few content creators of color inside these directories. So I think that these companies standing up and saying stuff and bringing more diversity to the field is like, it's a great thing. I don't feel as alone as I did in the past, and that's awesome.
That's a really good way to put it, is feeling alone. Like I guess I didn't fully realize that feeling until I saw a post. I can't remember who the content creator was that it was by, but it was like a TwitchCon or 2 TwitchCons ago, and they were at like a TwitchCon party, and they said all we did was just gather all the people of color we could find in the room to take this photo at like a Twitch party. There was 5. It was like 5 of them. Yeah, I was like, damn. It like there's a certain level of like aloneness. Like you're surrounded by other content creators and friends, like who are white, and you don't feel alone in that sense. But then you're like, oh, I'm the only black guy in the room.
Yeah,
but it was kind of more brought to light, and I think you're absolutely right. I think it's amazing that any company at all is taking a stance, which is great. And it kind of validates it a little bit. Not that it isn't validatable on its own, like it doesn't stand on its own, but it's just nice to hear like, hey, by the way, we got you. Like we're on your side. We get it. Like
you think companies have power over groups of people, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see people in powerful positions actually take the right stance, like publicly. Like it kind of comes down to that: people in powerful positions throwing aside whatever the things they're thinking about not doing it for, whatever bullshit reason that is, and just doing it. I mean, from someone who hasn't lived that life or had, I'm a 6'5" white man athlete. Like there's just not many situations where it's not going to be normal for me to, like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be the only of something anywhere except for maybe a tall person, but like that doesn't, that's not the same. Yeah. I'm a large human being, but that's people, that's not, I don't have to deal with any of those things, but it makes me so angry that anyone tries to make any sort of argument other than in any sort of straw man way, other than these things are happening and they need to change. Like other than that, there is nothing else to say. And they are happening, and you don't have to make up some reason for them not happening, because they are happening, and that's all there is. So
I think one of the great things about companies speaking out on it is that it's becoming not okay to be against it. Like it's not okay to feel like you're okay in taking a stance against equality or equal rights, or people of color dealing with police brutality. Like that's not okay to be against that. It's not okay to think that the stuff that's going on is okay, or that there is even this thing where people believe that there's no issues at all. It's not okay to feel like that anymore. It's like if you're running around saying, oh, you're just making up excuses or this, that, and the third. Like it's not okay to say that anymore. Right now, the only thing that I see as being okay across the board is realizing that there is an issue, and that happening in general is just helping solve the problem.
I mean, it's obviously a long road of different things that we need to solve and change, and people obviously disagree on the degree of which we solve and change them. I am encouraged by the support that companies have brought to it, because even in the beginning, for me, it took a post from Jordan Fisher about George Floyd to like kind of wake me up to like, you should say something. Like you not not even at that time that you should, like, as a, you know, a person of color who streams or whatever. It was just kind of like, you have emotional feelings about this issue and you should voice them because other people might feel the same. And I remember seeing his post and being like, I can do that. I can use my platform for whatever. I can say whatever, you know, and this is not to shame anyone for the degree to which they use their platform. I don't care if you share 5 Instagram posts a day or one a week, like, it doesn't matter. But I remember just it being okay to say something. And
Yeah, I
like,
know exactly the feeling.
but it's weird because, like, why wouldn't it be okay to something? Why is that like
That's-
why do I have to think about it?
That's where these companies coming in and saying something is so important because, like I said, this stuff has been going on for so long. I remember playing Elder Scrolls Online and like 20 people got banned because they role played a KKK parade in one of the cities inside of the game.
What?
In a massively multiplayer online game, they had a racist demonstration inside of the game, and a lot of them got banned. But
Wow.
it wasn't even like one of those things where it's like, okay, we gotta talk about this. We have to deal with this problem because that's just, it wasn't the thing. It wasn't okay to really talk about those things. But now it's like, when we see stuff like that, I feel like I'm okay to call it out and point it out and talk about it and look for solutions.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
that in itself says so much about how much the system has affected so many people of color, because I felt like I couldn't say anything about some of the stuff that I was dealing with on stream, some of the stuff I dealt with in real life. I just felt like I couldn't say anything. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's terrible. Like, who doesn't say anything if you know, you see a guy beating his wife?
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't say anything, like, you're crazy. Like, that's because it's not okay to do that. But it's also not okay to be a racist. It's not okay to be a bigot. It's not okay to be hateful. It's not okay to do a lot of things that people have done. And it's also, I'm realizing, it's just not okay to not say anything. It's not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you don't say anything, you're part of the problem.
I think that's the key. People are coming to that conclusion more.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I don't remember, there was a story, I think it's Duplantier. He's a starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks. And he's black, and he was talking about being the only black kid in his like entire baseball league when he was young. And someone said something horribly racist on another team to him, and he like he was the first baseman, he dropped his glove and tried to run in their dugout. And the only other black guy in the field was an umpire, and he grabbed him and he said, it's not worth it. You know, and his teammates, you know, had his back, were like, that's bullshit, like that kind of stuff. But like, they just kind of all wanted it to go away. Like, they just wanted to like get past it, like the really awkward situation. So there was no conversation after. That's what he was saying. He was like, it was horrible when it happened, but there was just literally, I had no recourse after. I could just talk to my parents, but I couldn't talk to anybody. Like, none of my teammates wanted to talk about it. But now I feel like there's more people willing to talk about it after the fact. Something horrible happens. We're talking about it after. It doesn't just go away.
Yeah. I think even myself growing up, you know, I grew up in like a middle class environment. I went to a mostly white high school. So Richard, I'm kind of curious to get your perspective on some of this from your upbringing. But I was taught, and I think a lot of us were taught, that racism exists back in the day. Like, racism was a thing you learned about in history, and it was like, you know, overt acts of racism. You know, murder and the N-word being used and thrown around. So I was like, growing up, I was like, oh, cool. No one's racist anymore. Lit. Like, this is going to be great. I can live my life and it'll be fine. And then like, just things would happen. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. You can't do that. That belongs back in the 50s or whatever. But to realize that it's not gone, it's not eradicated. Like, people still, and it's more than just overt acts of racism, like calling someone the N-word. Like, it's as simple as someone crossing the street when you walk down the road. Like, something as simple as that is not no one's going to yell at that person, right? But it still affects you. It's still something you deal with every day. So,
yeah, for me, coming up, like I said, I'm from the hood, so I went to like everything. Like, all my schools were like majority black, like maybe one white kid in the school, the entire school. Yeah. So I've dealt with some crazy things. I've had teachers say things to me that I didn't really know was racist at the time when I was younger, but like growing up, I'm like, whoa, my teacher was actually racist. Like, I can't believe that she actually said that to me.
Yeah, dude,
like,
hindsight.
I was just talking to my brother about this, like maybe a month or two ago, and we were talking about how we, as kids, we were always scared of the police. Like we would literally see cops in the hood, and every kid would go and hide behind a car. Like we'd just be playing, or you could be playing football or whatever it is, and somebody will see a cop and they'll say "Popo."
Yeah,
and we'd literally go hide behind a car, and we didn't really, you don't really think about it. But it's like, bro, we were actually scared of police as children. Like, what was actually happening? Did our parents teach us to be scared of the police? Was there something happening? What was going on that had us feeling that way?
Yeah.
And what it is that the things that's been happening, even like the George Floyd situation, it's not new. It's that kind of stuff has been happening to people of color for so long.
Yeah.
And it's coming up, like I didn't really notice that it was that deep. I didn't until I got older. And I always hated school. Like I hated school, and I couldn't figure out why until I got older. And then I realized that, you know, when I was going to school, my classrooms are overcrowded. The school system is trash because the school system is paid for by the residents. If the residents in the area don't make any money, the school system isn't going to get that big of a budget.
Exactly.
And we didn't have good extracurricular activities, and it just, school was trash. Like when I was growing up, going to school, it was trash all the way down to the lunch. Like it's like school lunch was so terrible. Our best lunch, I remember, like, and most kids in Philly will tell you, it was called, we call it the space lunch. It was this lunch. It came in a cardboard box and plastic. And it was basically like 3 Slim Jims and something else came with it, but it was like Slim Jims. Like literally, that was our favorite lunch. Everything else was like trash. It was literally like little beef sticks. And we called it space lunch. And now that I have kids, and I live in the suburbs now, I'm blessed to my kids are blessed to not grow up the same way that I grew up. And my son loves school. Like he actually loves school. He doesn't like, I used to fake headaches and tummy aches and not go to school. Yeah. Sometimes I would just literally like leave the house, wait for my mom to go to work, and then go back home. Like not walk to school. I would wait for my mom to leave for work, and then go back in the house and like play the game or something, because I hated school that much. And my son loves it, and I didn't know why, but that is like racism is it's that deep. It's that deep to where we're not. A lot of people of color don't have the same educational opportunities. It's literally not as fun. I mean, like when you're learning should be fun. And if you're not enjoying your experience while learning, you're really not going to learn much at all. Yeah, exactly. That's something that I personally dealt with, like for the majority of my life going to school. But it's something I didn't recognize until I got older. But like I said, I'm 31 years old. Yeah. These issues were going on, when I was 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years ago, which is insane.
That is such a good point of realizing that's a part of the reason we say systemic, is that it applies to so many things, to the point where you grew up not liking to learn. Like you were like, learning I hate it. That's awful, because the experience is awful because of so many different things that lined up to the fact that, you were in an inner city, or you had limited funds for the budget because people can't get good jobs because they're black, or whatever reason that they can't. Like you're stuck in like this cycle where what incentive do you have to go to learn? Like why would anyone want to go to college? It sounds awful. Like,
why would you want to go to college? Why would you want to go to college, pay money after you spent 17 or 10 plus years of your life in school, and you've hated it? Why would you want to sign up for another 8 years of that, 5 years or 4 years of that, whatever you go to school for? Exactly. And that's an issue that a lot of people of color deal with. And it's not really even just people of color. Even if you're white, or Asian and you live where I live, you would deal with the same thing. You would literally deal with the same thing. You wouldn't have the privilege of, going to a good school. Like my son has a robotics class in his school.
That's
like,
dope as hell.
It's like thing I've ever heard.
they literally, and he's 9 years old. They're building robots. Like that's so amazing to have that in school. Like a lot of schools now, they have like Fortnite leagues and different esports leagues within the school.
Yes,
it's just amazing in a lot of schools. But I can tell you, I still have family and friends who live in the same areas that I grew up in, and they don't have those programs. They do not have those programs. In fact, it's actually getting worse, and it's to the point where they've closed so many schools. And if you watch my blog from a few months ago, one of the schools that me and my brothers went to got shut down. It was actually a good school, and that school was shut down and abandoned. There's so many schools in my area that are just shut down, and you would think that the overpopulation that we were already dealing with was bad enough. Now you're shutting down schools and then shipping kids and overpacking the schools even more.
Yeah,
it's just terrible.
Yeah, puts pressure on the teachers, and they don't want to teach.
Yeah, they don't want to teach. They can't teach. How can you teach?
I don't blame them. Like
you have 40 kids in your classroom. You have 40 kids in a classroom, and you're going to try and teach, but you're not going to be able to give people the special attention because there's going to be some kids that need a little bit more attention than others. And when you got 40 people in that classroom, that's just something that's really hard to do. And also, it's just a hectic environment when you got all those personalities clashing.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the part I've had to kind of also tell to some of my other friends are just kind of like didn't know it was this bad, right? Like I mean their own ignorance and their lives and what they've experienced. A lot of my white friends just didn't realize that's why these things are happening, or that's a lot of the cause of why these things are happening, and why they perpetuate themselves. It's always like, why don't they pull themselves up by their bootstraps type of idea, and it's like they don't have them. They'd have no bootstrap. They don't have no desire to pull them up.
We don't have boots.
They don't have boots.
Actually, the boot is on my neck. That's the problem. If you could take the boot off of my neck, and maybe we can figure that out.
Damn.
And I tell people all the time, it's like you can't expect people to really know how to pull themselves out of a situation when the situation is designed to keep pushing them back in that same hole.
Yeah.
And just look like for years, marijuana has been illegal for years, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But there's so many fathers, so many brothers and sons, sisters, aunts, uncles serving serious jail time right now for the same thing that's a multi-billion-dollar legal industry now.
Exactly.
Just some of them were doing it recreational. They weren't even selling it, and they're doing and suffering from it. Some of them can't get jobs because they have felonies and misdemeanors on their record because of this type of thing. And it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, now that it's legal, like, do we just forget about all the people that suffered from it being illegal for so long?
Exactly.
And how do we go and like solve these issues and help? Because they've taken away people's fathers. I was actually lucky to have my mom and my dad my entire life. And I'm really grateful for that, because having my mom and my dad my entire life, they also provided me with video games. Even though I was in the hood, we always had a game. But I remember my grandma, she bought us a Sega Saturn. My dad got us a PlayStation. We had Dreamcast. We had, we had just about every system, Sega Genesis, Nintendo. We had everything. So gaming has been in my family, and it's been really, really, really good and provided for us since I can remember. And I think having mom and dad around was huge for that. There's a lot of kids that didn't have that opportunity. And a lot of it, some of those kids might not have had that opportunity because their dad was in jail.
Exactly. Because they're there on a weed charge. Yeah, or that was their last strike or whatever it was. Yeah. Dude, I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that point of view. As a person of color who did not grow up in that exact situation. It's eye opening. It's like we've all experienced the similar thing or the same thing from different angles. So it's, like I said, going to a mostly white high school is like, I didn't see that stuff, but I saw I saw how my peers reacted to it, and how they treated me as a result of those things. It was so yeah, being surrounded by that was a completely different experience. And I recently read an article about being the token black guy, and I was like, damn, I relate the hell out of this. This is wild. Like, if you haven't like this art I posted on my Twitter, it's an article, like, I was like, if you are the token black person, or you have a token black person in your group, you should read this, because it was outstanding, and just related to me so well, dude. It is wild. It is wild. The stuff that you just think is fine when you're in it, and in hindsight, like you're saying, you're like, wait a second, that was horrible. Or like, why did I think that?
That was horrible.
That was a terrible thing that person did. Like, why did I think it was fine? But anyway, I really appreciate your take on that, Richard. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah,
it's cool to get that. And I think it's good to have the conversation going, so we don't forget about it.
Yeah, I'm happy that the conversation is going, but I also like I know that it's going to take a long time for people to really start listening and understanding and seeing like a lot of these issues. And it's just a lot of stuff isn't going to change overnight, and a lot of it, like for me, I feel like for me when I became a man, I would say, and I had children, it changed from using anything as an excuse. My goal as a father and a husband is to make sure that my kids didn't go through what I went through growing up. Yeah. Because if I can change that for them, then they can change it for the next generation. So I made sure that, and now my kids are in a better situation. Even before streaming, we were always in a better situation. They've never known the struggles that I've been through, like living in a house where we don't have utilities. Like there was a time where we didn't have water, and we had to go to a fire hydrant. And one of our neighbors had the tool to open a fire hydrant, and we had to chug, like me, my brothers, and my mom, chug gallons of water back to the house where we can heat water up and wash up and things like that. So I've dealt with serious poverty, and looking back on it, it was terrible. But when it was happening, it was normalized, and it didn't seem that bad. Yeah, but looking back, it was really terrible. And my mindset now is to make sure my boys don't go through that, and to make sure that they are in a better situation, make sure they get a good education and land really good jobs, because a lot of oppression that happens in America, it does happen to people of color, but I believe it happens to a lot of people in poverty in general. It just so happens that a lot of people of color are in poverty and they're dealing with it. But if you lived in those areas, and we've had white people that lived in those areas and Asian people that lived in the areas that I lived in, and they were suffering from the same things we were suffering, because they were working the same jobs that my parents were working, and they were going through the same things. And when you can get financially stable and make financial like changes and have businesses and things like that to hand down to your children, I think it changes the conversation a lot. Like for me,
absolutely,
turning 16, I didn't get a car from my dad. Actually, I didn't get anything. But a lot of kids, they turn 16 or they go off to college and they get cars and stuff like that. Like I didn't get that, but I'm gonna make sure that my son gets that kind of stuff when they turn 16. Make sure they get a nice car, and they're situated and ready to live on their own, and they get the training and things that they need to be really, really good people. And
absolutely.
I really have gaming to thank a lot for that, because it's really making it easier for me to do. And that's my mindset now moving forward, is just make sure my boys are the next generation of greatness.
Talking about being a dad and buying smokers and lawnmowers, but that's being a dad. That's becoming
actually being a dad.
That's actually becoming a father. Dude, Richard, again, thank you, man, so much for that point of view. That was fantastic. I love that. And your kids are freaking making Boston Dynamic robots that are gonna murder us all in the end anyway.
Yeah, they're
Now, can I confess something to you guys? Because I recently found out that New York and I'm not even memeing. I'm being totally sincere. I found out that Boston is not a part of New York.
Stop that.
That's true. I did not know. I didn't know that. Listen,
Look,
okay.
Very, very separate cities that hate each other for the most part.
I literally thought. Where's the Bronx? Is the Bronx in Boston or is that in New York?
It's New York. It's a borough.
Stop, dude.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Listen.
I'm very upset. I didn't understand a word you said about Canada, but I'm very upset that you didn't know the difference.
They're the same.
New York City is, in his defense, the only city with boroughs in the entire country or any other country. Now that I think about it,
that's fair. Yeah. It's true. There's no borough. I don't even know what a borough is. We just call it that.
It's just a separate city that's attached to the other parts of the city.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to do with gang wars. I have no clue. I have no idea how it happened, but I know that.
I watched the Netflix special about the mafia in New York, and now I just understand the entire area is scary, and buildings have probably not been built to code, and it's just a sketchy place. It's just
pretty sketchy.
Intimidating, man.
They were built and then they were remodeled 30 years later, and then after that remodeled again, and then after that remodeled again, and then at this point they're just piles of boards.
Yeah, it sounds like my body in a nutshell.
Oh yeah, and they're going to getting more and more expensive.
I know it's probably a flex. Have you ever been to Rome and seen like?
I have.
You have, yeah. Okay, so Trevor has. Okay, so Milton hasn't.
I haven't even. I've never left the continent. I have one. At this point, because I'm an epistemologist and a solipsist, and I only am secure in the knowledge of my own mind, I don't even know that Rome exists. Maybe it's not even there.
What the f is that?
I'm an epistemological.
Now you need to explain the two gigantic words you just used in front of Paul.
I can't even spell it.
I'm an epistemological solipsist, which means that I am only convinced of the existence of my own directly accessible mental contents. I know that something has to exist to do the thinking because I'm the one experiencing the thinking, but everything and anyone else in my entire life could simply be a coordination of complicated electrical and chemical signals in my brain. You never know. Are your hands or are they apples? Why do you think that they're not apples? Because you feel them? Because you touch them? That's all electrical impulses in your brain, man. You could be in a jar on Mars and not even know it.
The entire concept of the Matrix, basically.
It's true. I don't know that Rome
Neo
exists.
wakes up and realizes that the only thing real is what's in his brain.
That bingo.
Bro.
See, that's where
Actually,
we're going.
that is actually the premise of the whole movie series, The Matrix.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, exactly.
That's why they learn kung fu, because they believe they can do it.
Now you want here, I'm just real quickly, can I just bake your noodle with this concept? Just take it a little bit further, okay? Here we go. Think about this. Imagine, look at the state of video games in 2020, okay? Compare that to the state of video games in 1920. Now, obviously there were none as far as I know, but imagine if somehow we didn't destroy ourselves as a species, and imagine what video games would be like in 10,000 years. Okay. Now you'll see where this is all going. You can imagine how realistic it would be, how realistic VR would be in 10,000 years. Be incredibly, incredibly realistic. And in fact, if you could work on, simulation software for long enough, you could probably really accurately simulate entire areas of the universe down to a molecular level. And it would be so well done, it would be indistinguishable from real life. The only difference between things like Sims and humans at an advanced enough level is that they cannot tell that they've been created. So, and then you have to ask yourself, look out there at the cosmos, look at how many stars and planets there are that are millions to billions of years older than the Earth. And then you have to ask yourself, would an advanced civilization make those simulations? Almost certainly. And if they did, you have absolutely no way to verify that you aren't living in a simulation. You have no way of knowing, because if there's a single civilization out there 100,000 years older than us, and they've made billions and billions of cycles of simulations of the universe, there is a high probability that we are simulated as opposed to being real.
That's not. Yeah.
So that's just wanted to.
AKA the fucking Matrix, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I just wanted to float that in there just for something to consider. You may not be real and you may have never been real.
Just to put it just a little more context, because I've thought about this too. People ask, hey, do you think aliens exist? Do you think, I go, the chances of there being no aliens is so much smaller than the chances that there are, what you just said is true.
Hey, Paul, you doing okay, Paul? I just want to make sure he's. I think
way more likely that what you said is true than that there's no one but us.
Well, that's exactly it. Oh, that I have. I can save that for later if you want, but I will take you on a trip from whence you will never be the same person that you were when we departed. When we go down the alien rabbit hole, I have some things that you haven't considered before.
Okay, well, something tells me that no matter what we talk about in the rest of this podcast, some of that coming out because you're way too fired up.
Paul, it's leave? Okay. No, Paul, it's gonna be fine. Come back. You're okay. Oh God, we lost him. That's it.
Here's we need a defibrillator.
It's the existential meltdown that comes with realizing that maybe you're not even real. Maybe you're just a sim in some advanced aliens video game.
Hey, but there's silver linings, bro. Like, for example, that 2-run homer I gave up the other day doesn't count.
It wasn't even your fault. It was your program. It was your programming, man.
Stupid simulator. All right. Do you want to get into some questions, Paul? Paul, are you seriously gone? Because we can't hear you.
He's standing and walking back and forth and holding his headphones, and I think he's in the midst of an absolutely intense existential meltdown. You hate to see it.
He's doing the scene from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, exactly. It's all right, man. Listen, this is the beginning of his enlightenment journey. It's a beautiful thing. We should celebrate it. Oh, hey, Paul.
Hey.
You doing okay?
No. No, I'm not, Milton. You get that crazy extraterrestrial shit out of my podcast.
This is why Interstellar is better than Inception.
Thank you. That's actually absolutely right.
I mean, Inception's kind of in that realm too. God, he needs to make more movies.
Inception.
When's Tenet come out again?
How are you just so cool with everything he just said?
Because I thought about it too. Paul. It just has never come up when we were playing Tarkov. Somehow we've avoided it to this moment.
We never talked about epistemology.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Episcopalianism.
It's close, man.
Can we get to the questions about fast food now?
Yes, got it. Yes. Got it, dude. You got to lead off though. It's the first question.
Okay. Milton T. Pike.
Yes.
Question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Where did your name come from? And if this wasn't the first name you've had, what was it before that?
Well, I chose Milton T. Pike 1 after my first online handle didn't really seem to catch with any potential audiences I had. I used to be called Dinkleberry Finkelwater, and that didn't really seem to. No, that's not true. I made that up. Milton T. Pike. Milton T. Pike is the name of a serial killer from the.
I'm sorry. You can't. Happening? You can't do that.
What?
You can't red pill me and then tell me some shit that isn't actually real.
How do you know that? How do you know that you're not literally making me up right now?
Shut your mouth, Milton!
You need to wake up, Paul. You're asleep, Paul. You need to wake up. You're in a coma, Paul. You need to wake up. We're waiting for you out here.
Stop!
You hear that pterodactyl just fly over?
Shut up, Trevor. Tell me about your damn name, Milton.
So Milton T. Pike was actually the name of a serial killer in the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And he was featured in a couple of different things, and I came across him in like the late 90s in the game Shadow Man for the Nintendo 64.
Okay.
I thought he was a cool, creepy character with a weird, creepy storyline.
Yeah.
And then I just figured I needed to have an online name that was not my full legal name with like my fucking social insurance number. So I just figured, well, shit, I got to be known as something. And I used to, when I was like 9, I was like, I'm going to have a cool online. I'm going to be Burning Skull, Dragon Slayer, Lord, Woman, Coitus Maker. I was like, well, that's kind of, I was like, what, man? That's a catchy
everything.
one.
I don't know what your deal is.
You gotta
everything you look for.
You got to hit all the key terms, you know?
Yeah. Dragons.
Wait, so Milton
and
T.
sex with
Pike
ladies.
was Milton T. Pike wasn't an actual murderer. He's from a video game.
My understanding is that his portrayal in the video game was based on the absolutely real actions of an actual serial killer. And they might have changed his name a little bit for the sake of the game, but he was a real dude who came back from Vietnam and was convinced that the government was like some clandestine group of lizard people was like trying to take his brain out. So he created this group called Knights of the American Heartland, where it was like, girl, we're going to, you know, take back our country or whatever, but then became convinced that the own people in his organization were also out to get him. So he killed all of them too.
Oh,
I just thought it was a real wholesome name to sort of run with, you know?
this seems like a good
I'll
branding option
Wikipedia
there.
that later.
Yeah, seems like you really build a brand around that. Maybe it's a merch.
Yeah, you know. You ever have doubts about someone? Better off just killing them.
So there's that.
Yeah, so that's
So
where
that
the
came
name
from.
comes from. Well, and also, this is one of my favorite things. So why is my name Milton T. Pike 1 as opposed to Milton T. Pike?
I'd love to know.
Yeah, you see, your boy Milty's got some 200 IQ. So when I went to make my channel, I wanted to get Milton T. Pike, and I saw that the name was taken, and I was like,
Okay.
what? Who would know such an obscure name? But whatever. I was in a bit of a hurry because everyone was like, "You gotta make a channel now. Do it. What are you playing GTA roleplay without a channel? You idiot! Make one." And I was like, "Okay." So I just added a 1 to the end, and then I was Milton T. Pike 1. After I had, I think I got 30 or 40,000 followers on Twitch. I decided to go and look up who is this Milton T. Pike on Twitch.
Yeah.
And I looked them up, and they had like 12 followers, which I was pretty sure was people trying to follow me and not finding the right person. And they were only following one person, which I thought was really strange. And the one person that Milton T. Pike was following was my brother. And I was like, okay, some asshole took my name and followed my. And I thought, how would they have known that that was the name I was going to go for? They didn't. It was me. I fucking made that account in 2013 and forgot. So I had to add a 1 to my own fucking name because I'm so stupid that I forgot that I made an account in 2013 to watch my brother. So I spent $2,500 on branding and artwork to include the fucking 1 when I could have just used the fucking original 1. Oh. So that's where the 1 comes from. So stupid. If I had to list the 5 dumbest things I've done in my life, that's easily the top 3. That's all of them. 1, 2, and 3. So stupid, man. So that's where the name comes from.
It was you. Oh God.
Oh, God. So yeah, so that's
that you made the
I
name?
couldn't. It was so stupid, and I was even mad at the person who made the thing. I was like, "Oh, you're just gonna make Milton T. Pike follow my brother? Oh, you're so clever." And I thought, "Oh fuck, hold on, wait a second. Yep, it's my account." So after I'd already built up all my branding, I'm wearing my partner shirt right now, which has the 1 on it. I have a partner shirt with the fucking 1, and it didn't have to be there. Yeah. So, anyways.
Well, now you have a phenomenal story, as you know, is the reason we do any of this.
Oh, God.
Who gives a shit if we like go into a game and we like kill Bill? Oh, look, he's got 10 kills. No. They want us to wipe our accounts on accident.
Don't make this about you,
shit.
Trevor.
Sorry, that's the dumbest thing I've ever done. So.
Trevor erasing his Tarkov account.
Oh yeah, I thought I remember. Didn't I see something about where you're like, is there a way to undo this?
And they actually helped me.
Oh
like,
wow!
It was 300 hours worth of stuff, like just gone. Like I would never pick up the game. It's like if you go into WoW and you're like, hey, my character, and you click on delete on accident, but instead of saying, are you sure? It just goes, okay. Gone.
See ya. You seem
All your
you seem
shit
committed.
gone.
See you later. Have fun starting again.
to confirm it. Just like, you did it. It's gone.
Congratulations, you have nothing now.
A box that pops up is literally like, you can't wipe it again for 2 weeks. You're like, okay.
Why would I want to wipe it again?
And why would they fucking limit that? Like,
It doesn't go, stop.
darn.
Everything's gone if you do this. It's like, remember, 2 weeks, gotta wait to do it again.
You know, and the thing is, here's the thing. Okay, listen. So some people don't know this, but in the first year that I was streaming, I think I logged probably 450 hours in Escape from Tarkov, and haven't touched it since then. And the reason is that I found that Escape from Tarkov was a lot like the infantry, in the sense that being in the infantry and playing Escape from Tarkov are a lot like smashing your balls between two bricks. In this way, it feels so good when you stop. It feels so good when you just don't do it anymore. When you are just no longer playing Tarkov and you're no longer in the infantry, everything is so much better.
Wow.
God, that fucking game, man. Oh, I can't tell you.
What the hell?
What?
That's clever.
I'm telling you, man. That's the truth.
Oh.
That's fuck that game.
Does your face hurt from punching yourself?
Oh,
Just stop.
Just stop. You'll see how good it feels.
Holy hell. You wrote that down ahead of time. You were like, podcast jokes.
Nope.
No.
Two bricks.
That actually, believe it or not. So hold on. I'm trying to think of a PG way to word this, or a way that's at least going to be appropriate for the podcast, and I've got it. Because there was two analogies that I heard when I was in the infantry. The one was that one. The way that they said it was smashing yourself in the face with a hammer. And they said, why is being in the army a lot like smashing yourself in the face with a hammer? And I said, why? And he said, because it feels so good when you stop. I said, okay. And the other one that I heard was like my first day at battalion. So I got through basic training, which was 14 weeks of hell. And then I got through developmental phase 1 infantry training, which is where they trained me to be a machine gunner. And that was 14 weeks of even worse hell. And then finally, my crowning achievement, I get posted to my battalion. And now I'm officially part of an infantry regiment. And I showed up on day 1, and a master corporal, who's now a good friend of mine, said, joining the infantry is, I'm going to change the wording here a little bit just for the sake of PG, but he said, joining the infantry is a lot like having intercourse without a condom. And I said, oh, and he said, yeah, seems like fun. Maybe you think it's going to be an adventure. Maybe some of your friends are doing it and telling you how cool it is. But once you're in, you realize it's a bad idea to come. That's the truth. So that's just straight from the infantry. That's right what they told me. That's what they told me the day I showed up. They said that to me. Yes.
Welcome. You're going to hate it.
Yeah, that's what they said. They're like, day 1, they're like, hey, how many days you got left? 691? Bro. Welcome to the suck, fuckhead.
How did you edit out the first part? We're like, the joke is still fine.
They said it in an infantry way that was much less approachable.
Gosh,
I can only imagine.
Anyway, so that's my name.
So much.
That's where the name comes from.
So remember when we introed Milton here about 30 minutes ago? Storytelling was one of the that was Eddie what? And now you get it.
Storytelling.
Oh,
So let's hear a story about your favorite fast food.
My favorite fast food.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
See, now this isn't.
We know you eat it. Come on.
Well, what do you mean? What the fuck does that mean? What do you mean? You know I eat it, huh? You say
Everyone
that because of my pleasant, plump Buddha-like dumpling Buddha body? Is that what it is? Because I'm softer, because I'm a little marshmallowy around the midsection. Holy shit! I know a guy who appreciates some fast food when I see one, and you look like you know your way around a hamburger, son. The fuck does that mean? Okay,
That's
well, first of all, there's an important.
That's it.
There's an important qualifier here. Okay. What do you mean by fast food?
Yes.
Because,
it means different things in the States. So I have certain nostalgia attached to playing video games when I was in high school a lot and picking up fast food before a long gaming session.
Yeah.
So what I try to ask people who have been playing video games for a long time is, do you have like your one of those places, and it doesn't even actually have to be like a chain or like even fast food. It could be like a place down the road from your house that you grew up in that you literally would go get and then just go play video games for 9 hours. You know what I mean? Something like that. So it could be even like, it could literally be like a gas station, or it could, you know, we had one person who it was literally gas station food, which was kind of sad, but well, it fulfilled the requirements.
Good.
I'll answer the first question. Well, so and the reason that I ask it is because the answer to my favorite fast food is Five Guys. Yeah. But some people say that's not technically fast food. Some people say it's not technically fast food because they don't have a drive-through. So it's technically not fast food. But I say those people are disgusting inbreds who thinks that things like Shake Shack actually make good hamburgers, and that is like a dump between two buns. That what a
double shots fired.
What a burger can fuck off, and in and out can take a big old hydraulic suck off of my butt cheeks. But Five Guys, on the other hand, Five Guys is where you go.
In California and Florida, where'd you have Whataburger?
Truth be told, I've never had it. I don't need to though. I don't need to. You know, if someone were to say, "Hey, would you like to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 this plate of dog shit?" I wouldn't have to taste it to rate it. I'd already know that it's a 0. Same thing with Whataburger. That's just simple logic. So Five Guys is definitely where it's at. I love Five Guys. I love the bag fries that they have. They just give you 600 potatoes worth of French fries per order. So I'm a big fan of that. But if I'm sitting down to a gaming sesh, my go-to 5-cent candy.
5-cent candy.
5-cent candy.
Sorry, what the hell did you just say?
5-cent candy. The little cola bottles and the little like
literally like the little things that are just like
tongs. You gotta go to you get a little bag and you get the little tongs and put them in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what are you talking about? What?
A little bulk? Like, okay, so if you go to Paul, when you were a kid, go instead of going Halloween trick-or-treating houses, you went like to like a little downtown area or something, went to all the shops. Have you ever done that?
Okay, no, but I feel like I'm kind of tracking. Okay.
So think of it like a filler candy. It's hard to explain.
Like the garbage they sell in the bulk section of Wegmans.
Yes.
Bulk
candy.
First of all,
bulk candy is trash. You probably love you love your grandmother's candy dish? What the hell?
I'm not eating Werther's Originals.
I would actually give you credit if you were. That's a decent candy.
Okay. I cannot believe. Okay, all right, motherfucker. What's your go-to fast food then?
Hold on.
He actually loves Five Guys.
Okay. Well,
did you say the wax Coke bottle?
No, not
you like
wax.
Soog a half a centimeter of an ounce of soda out of?
No,
like
the ones that
ounce.
They're shaped like a Coke bottle and they taste like Coke, and you just eat the whole thing, not that wax garbage.
Coke bottle candy. Hold on a second. I'm Googling hard.
I can't believe it's. Look up. Oh, what the fuck is
this shit?
Haribo Coke bottle candy. Look it up.
Haribo candies.
Yeah. Have you not? Do you not have those in America?
Oh, we do.
No, we don't sell poison. What the hell?
Oh my! You don't sell poison. You don't sell poison down there. You listen here. Okay?
This trash with the freaking bear who's holding the Coke bottle like a schlong. Look at that thing. It's freaking exploding.
Do not talk bad about Haribo. Okay.
That's
my gosh. I mean,
if your peach chunk things are the greatest thing ever created.
Bro, look, I get it. If you're bound up, by all means, go get some Haribo. It'll loosen you up. That's totally fine. If you haven't taken a dump in 3 days.
Haribo sugarless gummy bears, that'll clear you out.
I have never in the 40 episodes of this podcast asked someone, "What's your favorite fast food?" And they're like, "My grandma's candy dish."
No, it's not my grandma's candy dish. It's the stale 5-cent candy from the gas station. There's an important distinction,
Paul. It's about how it makes you feel.
That's right. Okay.
That's not even. It's not even the question we asked. That's not fast food.
But he answered the fast food one, and then fine, we'll expand.
Yeah,
You know what else I remember? I remember the old Amp energy drinks, which I drank 4 of a night, and powdered donuts and wild pear Skittles. Don't ask me how these all came together. They were always on sale.
Did you guys ever have at any point a phase where the energy drink was Rippets?
No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
I'm an energy drink savant.
No, not Whippets. That's a different kind of energy drink.
Like the freaking drug?
No.
Are you a huffer?
No, Rip It, man. RIPPIT, all one word. Rip It.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's trash.
There's a frog and he's high as shit on the freaking cover of it.
Every now and then, so when we were in the I got introduced to him when I was in the army. What would happen is if you were on like a 4-week exercise out in the field, not going to see civilization for 4 weeks, 2 weeks in, we would have what's called a smoker. And a smoker is where they make these gigantic bonfires out in the fucking middle of nowhere. And we would all like cook hot dogs and hamburgers. And for like 2 hours, one evening, we'd sit there eating burgers and hot dogs and chewing tobacco and smoking cigarettes. And then the next day it was back to the suck. And when they did this, for whatever reason, maybe it was part of a mind control operation with the Canadian military, they'd truck in these boatloads of this absolute ass quality fucking diarrhea terrible water energy drinks called Rippets. And each can had like 340 milligrams of caffeine. So you'd see some dude who's like just desperate to have something that's not shitty canteen water, chugging 3 Rippets. And then 20 minutes later, you see him ripping his clothes off and jumping over the fire like, lightning in my face! Who am I? That's Rippets. That's
I'm trying to
Rippets.
think there's one in America. I think this is a Canadian one, and there's a version of it that I've drank before, and it's awful. Yeah.
I'm looking at there's like an article that says how the U.S. military got hooked on Rippets.
Yeah,
Dude, did they like partner with our armed forces and like recruited us? Oh my god! It's like they're on Twitch. Jesus, Rippets. Well, don't drink them. Got it.
Where did?
What? You just muted yourself.
You just muted yourself. Why'd you do that?
I muted I hit backslash. Damn it!
Okay. That's all right.
We asked what his favorite fast food was, and he like hit us with like the normal answer, like, oh well, I kind of like Five Guys, and like Whataburger sucks, and like whatever. I also like wax candies and
I've never in my life eaten a wax candy. Let it stand the test of time. I have never in my life eaten a wax candy and never will.
What's your favorite fast food, Milton? Well, I like Jolly Ranchers and government-issued energy drinks. That's what I'm into.
Government-issued.
Sign me up, dude, for 780 milligrams of caffeine and some wax from the gas station. That ought to tie me over.
What the hell? All right. I don't know where we're at, but it's not where we should be. I don't know.
Real quick, because I'm curious, what are your favorite fast food places?
Oh gosh, Trevor.
Mine's Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
That was the big one for me. So there's a Taco Bell like 4 blocks away from the house, and then 1 block from the Taco Bell was a Shell gas station. And that gas station was like the 2 for gas stations. Like everything was 2 for $5, 2 for $4, 2 for $3, everything was just like everything in the high store was 2 for. So it would be like, oh, 2 for $3, amps, I'll take 4. Powdered donuts 2 for $6, I'll take 4.
Okay.
2 for $1.50 Wildberry Skittles. 6. That was Friday, Saturday, Sunday night.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
somehow I was young and svelte, and I didn't gain weight, and now I can't even eat 1 Skittle.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I envy
in some kind of way.
I envy your self-control because I see what it does to my body, and I'm just like, oh fuck it. And what are we doing next weekend? I guess the same thing. Surely there's no consequence to eating 6,000 calories a day and no exercise. I'm sure my body will just figure out a way to deal with it.
Yeah, and like 5,000 calories are just pure unadulterated cane sugar.
Yeah. My body's like, motherfucker, how do you think I'm gonna build bones out of sugar? What are you doing? How am I supposed to make blood cells out of wax? What are you eating? Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Build bones out of sugar.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you.
Sugar bones. Holy hell. I don't think I have I can't even think about my favorite fast food right now. I know where I'm at. I think I Taco Bell, I guess, is probably my favorite. Tim Hortons is pretty close up there as well.
Yes.
To be honest, a lot of memories around getting crullers and large hot chocolates. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's that. Also, the little tiny Hershey's, you know what I mean? Like the little individually wrapped Hershey's nuggets.
Really?
With like the single almond in it from my grandma's candy dish.
Yeah, I knew you were going there. My grandma had those too.
Hershey's Kisses, you mean?
Yeah, you know the crackles and Mr. Good bars. You know those little tiny ones.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
From the
okay, I got you.
50s. Yeah.
The ones that were 50% asbestos, gotcha.
Budget store freaking Crunch bars.
Eat them or insulate your house. Your choice.
Useful for food or an emergency fire starter, whatever you need. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
We're on the third question. If you
I'm sorry. I'm moving along.
Because I think you're actually like lost.
I am. I don't know. We're in a simulation. None of this matters. So,
that's right.
Well, guys, this is a pretty exciting portion, I think, for me of the podcast, because as you may or may not know, we're sponsored by Manscaped. Usually, I crush the ad read. Usually. But today, our special guest host, Genticles, has graciously offered to take upon her shoulders the ad read for Manscaped. And with that, Jen,
graciously offered.
Take it away.
Okay. I can't. Okay.
You got it.
It just starts out so ballsy. Okay. If you're bored in the house, why not groom your balls? Our sponsor today is Manscaped. Is here to make sure your balls are smooth while you or your partner are playing with them. Manscaped promotes clean hygiene when it comes to shaving your balls thanks to their Lawnmower 3.0. Manscaped is our go-to brand for below the waist grooming. I can't even do it.
I think we're losing her.
No.
You got it.
While you're probably looking for new things to do at home, why not make grooming your balls a part of your routine? I don't really have a funny trimming story because I don't have balls, but if I did, I would take care of them with Manscaped. You know, that's what I would do. And then, because Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit comes with the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 waterproof cordless body trimmer and tons of other liquid formulations to round out your grooming routine. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic. I like the cutting edge like pun because it's a blade. Anyway, sorry. Their cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced skin safe technology. Pioneered by Manscaped. I gotta close Paul's stream. I can't look at him. Okay, where was I? Some technology. Yeah, not only does Manscaped obsess over technology developments to provide the best tools for your grooming experience, but they only use their best ingredients in their formulations. Inside the Perfect Package, you'll also find the Manscaped Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, and Moisturizer for your balls. I didn't even know you would need that, but okay. You're probably sitting on the couch with your hand on your balls anyway. Might as well keep them smooth as eggs and smelling fresh. Subscribe to the Perfect Package and get a new replacement plate, refill for your lawnmower 3.0 delivered to your door every 3 months, making sure your trimmer always stays fresh and clean. For a limited time, subscribers get not one, but 2 free gifts. The Shed Travel Bag, which is a $39 value, and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxers for your balls. This is the perfect package for your perfect package. And you can get 20% off plus free shipping with code MCA at manscaped.com. Do yourself a favor and always use the right tools for the job. Freaking nailed it.
He did so good.
Outstanding.
I nailed it.
Absolutely outstanding, Jen.
For let's address this elephant that's sitting in the room. Okay, DMCA apocalypse, whatever you want to call it. The laws are a huge topic right now, especially on Twitch. With everyone deleting on their it's the second time we've actually done this, and it's almost as if we didn't take the first time that seriously, and then or it's the third time, and the first time it's almost as if we were trying to use all these third-party tools to delete everything off our site, and then if they didn't work, we just gave up. That's definitely not what I did. And then and then you're here wondering why can't I just select all and delete this on the website? That would be really helpful. Anyway,
God forbid you wrote program to help the people that currently are.
Anyway.
Papa Purple. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So, first question. Let's first break this down, and I think you give us the best best answer we could probably get on it.
No pressure.
The DMCA laws. Like, what are we looking at? What are they?
Do you know what DMCA stands for?
I don't. Let's tell the people.
Cool. Let's start. Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Okay,
that's what it means. It's basically really old, and it doesn't
sounds old AF. Yeah.
It's from October 1998. Actually, we just celebrated the 22-year anniversary of the DMCA being signed into law. Yay! Happy birthday! Don't sing a birthday song because that's copyrighted. So what is the DMCA? The DMCA is basically it's a compromise between the copyright holders. So that's that's musicians, that's artists, that's content creators like y'all and me occasionally, like once a year, and service providers. So the idea is that the internet as we know it wouldn't exist without the DMCA, because right now, think about it this way. Every website you interact with has user-generated or user-uploaded content. And because of that, it increases the likelihood that somebody is going to upload something they don't own the rights to. For example, if you go on, Google image search and you search for 1 million photos of things you probably shouldn't be searching for, then there's websites, adult ones, that want to protect that content because they have it behind a paywall. However, why don't those sites sue Google? Well, actually, they did. That's why I brought up that specific example. The adult entertainment industry sued Google for Google image search because they said that people didn't need to pay them. They could just Google the name of a star and find pictures of that person. Google was protected under the DMCA because they're a service provider. A service provider, someone that provides a service on the internet. Twitch is a service provider.
This is as opposed to a publisher, right? I feel like I've heard that before. Difference.
Yeah, it's
Not to get you off track.
it's adjacent. It is adjacent. If we go into publishers, then we need 3 more hours. So
we don't have that.
Basically, yeah, I know we don't have that. Somebody's got to play Among Us in 25 minutes. But so what happens is the service providers don't want to get sued, but at the same time they don't want to shut down their platforms. So the DMCA was born. It's a way for a copyright owner, somebody who owns a copyright, to notify a service provider, hey, you've got content that I own that I didn't allow you to have on your site. That's simple. It is a way to find infringing content. What infringing means is it's stuff that you don't have the rights to use. So the way that the DMCA works, the takedown process, is copyright holder, person holding a copyright, sends a DMCA takedown notice to the service provider, Twitch, who then notifies the end user, hey, these people said that you uploaded their stuff. We're going to disable access to it. If you think that this was sent in error, let us know. We'll reinstate it. And then the copyright holders only like recourse is to sue the person who uploaded it. Saves the service provider. Do I need to go over any of that again?
No.
Oh, that makes
All
perfect
right,
sense.
cool.
They can just hit rewind on the podcast and just listen to it as many
Right.
times as
back 30 seconds. Back
Yeah.
30 seconds. If you're on an iPhone. iPhone 12. So not sponsored.
So specific.
That's got a lot on the mind right now. So the DMCA in itself is not a bad thing. It's just old. And it doesn't understand modern technology. And so it's been abused in a lot of ways. The reason that we had this happen was because people have been using music in the background of their streams that they don't have the rights to use. And in many cases, the artist or the label that owns the rights and normally would get paid if that was played in a restaurant, if that was played live or something like that, they're not getting paid for those listens, those uses. And the argument they're making is that it is an infringing use. Under the exact letter of the law, that's true. Because if you're not paying for the rights to use it, you don't have a license to use it, then it is infringing. And so these artists are mostly represented by a number of organizations, the most prominent of which is the RIAA, which is what you've heard a lot about. They're the ones that have caused this crazy stir lately.
Yeah.
So in June, the RIAA turned on DMCA enforcement for 3 songs. And
Just 3.
Just 3 songs.
They turned it on like it was a switch on a wall. They were like, you know what? This is time. We can
literally. No joke. They pressed a button and thousands, tens of thousands of DMCAs went like they were heat-seeking torpedoes right at Twitch. And all of a sudden, you saw all these creators getting temp bans. Because they had VODs or clips that had the songs in them in some form, because they just been listening to their Spotify playlist. Which, by the way, you can't do that also because it's against Spotify's terms of service to use them as background music on Twitch. I digress. So,
Oh, yeah. Quick side note on that. What if you own the license to, like we were talking about earlier, Monster Cat?
So,
is that a workaround?
This sounds very specific.
No, I'm just, I don't do it. I'm just curious.
So it's against Spotify's terms of service to use it to broadcast music, even if you have the rights to that music.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so you can't use that on Twitch. Yeah. So what happened was all these creators freaked out because they're like, what am I going to do? Is the music apocalypse coming? Because this actually happened to YouTube in 2012. Something called the Michelle Phan case, where there's a beauty and makeup artist named Michelle Phan who, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name. I've never met her, who used music in the background of her beauty and makeup streams. She was really popular, and she got sued for millions of dollars. Because copyright infringement carries up to $150,000 per infringement in statutory damages. So think if you're doing an 8-hour stream, how many songs go through an 8-hour stream?
That is
insane.
That's
a huge problem.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so the RIAA turned on enforcement, sent DMCAs to Twitch. Twitch had no choice but to comply. Otherwise, they would lose their protection under the DMCA, meaning that they could get sued by the RIAA and its constituents immediately. And Twitch is not about to do that.
No, of course not.
So it was a huge problem. Everybody said, well, delete your VODs, delete your clips, etc. And that's when people started to say, well, you're good if you only play it live, because Twitch will catch the VODs and mute them, or you don't turn off your VODs.
Yeah, they did that.
Yeah. But the problem is there's a company called PEX, and I'm able to say this now. In June, I wasn't able to say it. There's a company called PEX, PEX, that is owned in part by Warner and Universal Music Group. They invested in it in 2018. And PEX allows for live fingerprinting of music across the internet. live and past broadcast. PEX is what was used to find those 3 tracks in those tens of thousands of clips and VODs. And PEX has the ability.
Really quickly, it's really
Yeah.
important. Does PEX count as a viewer? Because I'll allow it.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It does.
There we go.
There you go.
They're a bot, but yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And so PEX is able to take down things live. They just haven't turned it on yet. So if we're playing music right now, we could go down black screen if we're playing AC/DC. Don't play AC/DC live.
So do they then contact Twitch and Twitch takes us down, or do they go beyond Twitch and do it themselves?
So what happens is PEX identifies it and notifies its whoever said, hey PEX, go find this. The person who said it is the copyright holder. The copyright holder sends a takedown to Twitch under penalty of perjury, saying, "Here's my stuff. Here's their stuff. I own this. They don't, take it down."
Mm-hmm.
Twitch gets that, is supposed to pass it on to you and allow you to respond and then have the content reinstated.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. And this is the most recent problem from last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, what happened was we all the partners got emails. I'm assuming both of you got that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, hey, we received a ton of DMCA notices. We haven't been enforcing them. By the way, we got rid of the content. Don't worry about it. Just know that by the 23rd, we're going to flip the switch back on. So clear everything out.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the panic.
Yeah.
What had happened was they had received tens of thousands of DMCA notices starting in June, almost every week. And then they got another round of them last Monday, and they said, we got to do something. And they didn't comply with them.
So they have been getting these since June, and just now we're like, we should probably take care of this.
Yeah. Because they didn't want to, show everybody getting deplatformed all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so now they're back in live, so you can get a DMCA now, or you can get a strike now. And that's extremely problematic the way they handled it, because on the one hand, Twitch didn't comply with the DMCA takedown, which means their safe harbors in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their safety net. On the other hand, they didn't comply with it with regards to y'all either, because under the statute, they're supposed to give you the ability to respond and have the stuff reinstated.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, I mean, with YouTube, we get DMCA notices, or at least I do on my channel, every now and then.
Yeah.
And some are legitimate, some are literally trolls. They're just like, yeah, totally, I own this. And no, you freaking don't.
Got me, and they just go away.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you don't own that, and they're like, touche, and they fade into the darkness.
I see you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, YouTube's always like, hey, do you want to dispute this every time? And I'm like, frick, yes, I own that.
Yeah.
That's why I was so confused with the whole Twitch thing, because it was like, hey, take it down. You have no recourse. Why? Why do I?
Well, part of it is because Twitch doesn't have the ability to reinstate your VODs once they're deleted. They're perma deleted.
Yeah.
You could write that in, but they haven't done it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is it's still crazy to think about how we still can't mass delete on the site after 3 months of, you know what I mean? They're gonna have to do this in 3 months.
Yeah. And so that's what caused the DMCA apocalypse, because everybody said, all these artists realized, holy crap, I can make a ton of money during a pandemic when I can't tour. It's just that I'm not being seen. I'm not getting that credited to me. I need to be compensated, which as content creators, we understand.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get paid for our work. And so
it makes sense. 100%.
It's not that the RIA is evil. It's just that they're bullish.
Yeah.
And Twitch really needs to come to the table like Facebook did.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook paid $1 billion for the rights.
Jeez.
Yeah. But you can stream that music on Facebook.
Yeah, just go for it.
Oh, and they're just good for the rest of time? Facebook
No, there is
No,
definitely
not-
a
I
time
was
limit.
gonna say.
I meant it covers they're good.
It covers the body of music.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually
can
know
play
the
music.
term limits, but I can't say it because it's attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that stuff was publicly available or not, but that's
It
interesting.
is not.
Because I feel like, and yeah, I'm not gonna like twist your arm or anything, but honestly, when you said $1 billion, I was kind of like, that's it. It was almost seemed low. I was like, what is that, like 6 months? Like it seems like they're renting it. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that would be
probably isn't the longest of terms. Probably
a couple $1 billion to get any type of substantial amount of time, unless they just strong arm them more like, hey, we're freaking Facebook. Like, what are you gonna do? And they're like, okay.
My guess is, I bet you that's like it's probably along the lines of a stopgap until like some sort of like
probably
relationship starts to where like it's part of making music now is then creating avenues for people to use it. Like, for example, here's an easy so the second part of this question was then going to start talking about solutions, right? Like one of the things will be, they'll be like, this is a relationship that could form later because of this, which it could all work out to be a good thing, is like, yes, you can play our music as long as, and then there's a service that makes it display on your stream. So it's like not even user side, it's Twitch side. So if you go live and music's playing and you're using something that is attached to Twitch, there's nothing, you can't move it, or you can move it, but you can't take it off.
Forced attribution.
Yeah. So you're giving the
credit.
Recognition, the credit and you're giving them, that's valuable the same way that we play games. Like the guy from Stadia who's making the big horrible hot takes about how you have to buy the game and then also buy a license for the game.
I got a hot take on that one too.
Okay, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm going to be honest. From a legal standpoint, I understand where he's coming from, but there's way more nuance for that than when it comes like the music isn't central to streams like the game is. So like the game, the value you're creating for the creator of the game is vastly larger than you are for the person who made the music. Especially when people are like, "What song is this?" and then you just ignore them. Like, you didn't create any value. At that point, people are like downloading Shazam from 8 years ago and they're putting it against their headphones trying to figure out what song it was, right? Like, that's not.
We actually use Shazam in the back end of a couple of my clients' labels to identify, make sure that the song that's been submitted by
that's amazing.
That's been submitted by somebody isn't already somewhere else.
For those of you who don't know, you can just literally ask Siri. She does it now. So like, just
really,
yes, it's built in. I think Siri bought
Shazam for like 7 years.
I think Siri
Shazam.
Apple bought Shazam. Yeah.
That's just the game, and I'm just gonna move through.
I'm not allowed to Google. I have to sit here and just know off the top of my head.
You can't Google.
Oh,
so
man,
because it'll be too easy with the initials.
Okay.
Like so, and I'll give you a couple seconds to answer, and then I'm gonna go hint 3, and then say what it is. All right.
Okay.
So there's 5. So there's no. Hopefully there's no ties.
Okay.
All right. This week, the
Anyone
initials.
can shout it out? Ooh, okay.
The initials are JC. JC.
Got it. JC. Okay.
Jeez.
Okay. So number 1, hint number 1 for the first section. Memphis.
John Mellencamp?
JC. They're the initials. JC. Or the
that was a singer. I thought Walking in Memphis. Who sang that song?
John Mellencamp.
Okay. You said JC, so I'm thinking singers. You said what's it called? You said Memphis, so I guess some old. I know a lot of different musical artists. I'm not losing.
Right.
I'm not losing this.
You get a mulligan.
Gulag Gary strikes again over here.
JC. So if it's a name or if it's a phrase, it will always be the initials JC.
Oh, I said JM. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're laughing.
Wait, now I realize why y'all are laughing. That took me a good 45 seconds to realize.
Okay.
Now
So the first hit was Memphis. Paul, do you have a guess?
Oh shit.
Okay. You're making a mockery of my game. This isn't my fault this time. John Mellencamp.
Bro, I said a name. I thought you said JM. I thought I was on it. I thought I had y'all. I really thought I had y'all.
He's like, John Mellencamp. He's like,
I thought I just aced that. And y'all, damn.
Well, you didn't.
Now I'm looking dumb.
So we won't count that as a miss.
Oh my
because
God.
it wasn't even the right. All right.
Yes.
All right. We're going to hit number 2.
Okay.
Ooh, and now it
Acoustic.
can be.
Acoustic. Okay, so it's definitely
Wait,
Johnny Cash.
It is Johnny Cash.
Wait, was that? Anyone can shout out the answer, right?
Yes, you can shout it out at any point. You gotta be first. But if you shout it out and you're wrong, usually you're just done for that round, and then you gotta hope the other person
Like,
gets
Isn't
it.
Johnny
just
Cash
the-
Ring of Fire?
like-
Isn't that
like-
bad?
Yeah.
So he's from Memphis,
I
acoustic.
didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
And then the other hints were all black. He's famous for wearing all black.
Yeah.
Associated with Joaquin Phoenix, because Joaquin Phoenix played him in Walk the Line. And then the last one is Walk the Line, which is just obvious.
It's just very much in your face. Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
just hit you with the last one is like, oh God, no one's getting it. I hope someone gets this, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, Paul is leading
so-
1-0.
Oh, man,
Ava,
now I'm
in
gonna be
that-
hesitant to yell out an answer.
Yeah. In that circumstance, Ava, if I personally had yelled out Janis Joplin, that would be incorrect because the initials are JC. You understand the?
I'm slowly getting it.
Okay, I just want to be sure we're on the same page. Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Number 2. Hint number 1.
Yeah.
17.1 million.
Were we given the initials?
Okay. It's still.
It's the same initials, JC for all of them. Hint number 2. Sometimes controversial.
Sometimes controversial. Okay.
James Corden.
James Corden, sometimes controversial. Not James Corden.
Oh.
But I like, dude, that was a good one. I don't know where your hint though. Third hint, transformation.
Transformation.
Oh, I know.
Shut your mouth, Lance.
Hint number 4, tutorial.
Huh.
Hint number 5, makeup.
Oh,
Really?
I'll just get. Hold on.
10 seconds. 10.
I'm so mad right
9.
now. I'm so mad.
8.
I'm pissed.
7. 6. 5. You gotta say something. Jeffree Star? No!
I know.
James Charles, dude.
That was
Come on.
that was my freebie.
I don't
There you
know.
go. Well,
That
so
was
1-0. You don't get a point. So it's 1-0. Still close.
I had to
I'm
close out
Googling.
everything. I closed out your chat. I closed out everything. The only thing
There
I'm
you go.
seeing is me.
Oh, James Charles.
James Charles. So the hint was 17.1 million. That's how many subs he has. Sometimes controversial. Been in a couple YouTube tiffs. It's fine. It happens. Right?
Yeah, totally.
Transformation, obviously, makeup tutorials. So,
Okay.
all right.
Gotcha.
Third thing.
Yeah.
Hint number
thing.
1. Well, it's just third section.
Yeah, of course.
Hint number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Funny.
Oh, narrows it down.
It's not supposed to. Hint number 2.
Okay.
Associated with bright green.
What?
Bright green.
If you're confused, it'll all come together.
What? Associated with bright green, funny.
Third hint. Fake cop. Hint number 4. Associated with the phrase, you're a mean one.
Why do I not know this?
Hint number 5. The Truman Show.
Oh
Jim
my
Carrey.
No.
Instead of saying, oh my, you should say the name.
Dude, I was talking about this literally yesterday with my roommates. That movie. I'd said I'd never seen that movie. We should watch it sometime. Isn't that the movie with Jim Carrey? You can ask Mako and Frosty. We were talking about that yesterday.
Oh
To
man.
answer your question, yes, you should watch it. It is a great movie.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. Actually, I do want to see
That's
that.
so weird how that was literally
good.
yesterday. I've never talked about that movie in my life other than yesterday. And
You're in
now we have
quarantine?
a question on it.
Watch the Truman Show. All right.
You're in court.
2-0, Paul.
I'm not.
Let's see if Lance can get 1.
I would have gotten the James Charles one. I shouldn't have guessed, man.
Come on, Lance.
I yelled James Corden.
Hey, but that That was James Corden could very easily be in this list. All right.
Okay.
Number 4. Hint number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Combat.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
All right. Is that you guessing, or you just?
I
Jackie Chan!
preemptively thought that it's gotta. Wait.
Are you both guessing right now?
Yeah, Jackie Chan's my guess. You said combat. Jackie Chan's my guess.
That's wrong.
What?
Paul, are you saying Jesus Christ?
Solid guess.
I thought it was an obvious last one, so I just said it. Like, obviously, it's gonna be Jesus Christ. It's
We're
okay.
not on the last one.
Oh, I thought we were.
There's no. This is the
Bro,
fourth one.
that is a guess and a half right there.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
still
both
in it.
wrong. It's offensive. I'm offended. With one hint, you both got it wrong. Combat hint. Let's see if you. I'm not going to give you a point, bro. Let's see if you can guess from this point on. All right.
Okay. All right.
Hint number 2. You can't see him.
I know now. I know.
Can't see him.
Wait, can I say the answer?
Yes.
John Cena.
It's John Cena.
John Cena.
Jackie Chan was
So, the third hint was 16-time champ, because he's a world champion 16 times.
I didn't know that.
Tied with Ric Flair for the most ever.
Wow.
WWE champion.
Fourth hint is versus The Rock, because recently he's the bad guy in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
And the last one was in the movie Trainwreck with LeBron.
Was he really?
Yeah, he's the boyfriend.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, he's hilarious in that. You should watch it. He's really funny. He's like a super sensitive.
I can't get a bonus point or something for Jackie Chan. Like nothing, half point, anything, quarter point.
No,
Pretty good.
Play the game right. 2 to nothing, Paul. Let's see if Avalanche can get this one. Even though
I have to get a point.
he can get a point. He can get 0.1 points for getting it on second try last time. All right,
Perfect.
last one.
Okay.
Hint number 1.
Okay.
2 sequels.
Wait. Oh, wait. I want to say it again.
Hint number 2.
I want to say it.
Carter's Friend.
Jackie Chan. 2 sequels, Rush Hour. I know it. I was getting very tempted to say it again.
All right.
I love Rush Hour. That's one of my
It's
favorite.
Rush Hour.
I love this movie.
Third hint was Rumble by
I'm
Yankee Stadium.
pissed now.
Oh
Third
my
hint is-
gosh.
Third hint is Rumble by Yankee Stadium, because he's in Rumble by the Bronx, and Rumble in the Bronx. Sorry.
I should have
4
ended
was
this.
Karate, and 5 was Detective Lee.
I should have ended this with 3 points, and I somehow only have 1.
So
Incredible.
it's 2-1. Paul wins. But that was actually, that might have been the best version of this game there is. That was so awesome. Congrats. Paul wins. I think Paul's won every initials, which seems to be so. Where I got the game is from a radio station in Minnesota, and pretty much those guys who are doing it all the time, they always win too. Like the person who comes on never wins because it's just hard. But it's funny to listen to you guys think, and I thought those were 4 good people, 5 good people to use. I'm kind of sad that you didn't get James Charles though, because come on.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the first one?
I said John Mellencamp. All right, let's just act
Mellencamp.
like that did not even happen. Let's just
John.
slide by that one. That was my best guess. That was it. That's all I had. That's all I could muster up, and then I realized.
Such confidence. John Mellencamp. No, it's not.
I didn't realize why y'all were laughing at me for 30 seconds after that as well. And then I realized that is JM initials.
He's like, what? I said it right.
Oh my gosh.
You said yell.
That is my favorite. So Javier, your guest specific question has something related to you specifically. So you run operations for Open Scrims and Practice Server. So we have a little bit of understanding about how these things work, but can you take us through exactly what a scrim is, right? I feel like that's a lot in the Fortnite community, what a scrim is. Yes, for the layman, and how you got involved with those 2 programs, Open Scrims and Practice Server.
Yeah, and there's a really good story behind that. So we'll jump into that. But to break it all down for you guys, what is a scrim? What is this ecosystem that is the Open Scrims? It's basically a hub, a place for you to come play and get better. Anyone that is looking to scrim, you are trying to pair yourself up against players equal, if not better than your skill level, so that you can continue to go head to head and improve so you get to the next level. So we're very much an amateur track to lead you to becoming a pro player, which in the Fortnite scene, if you are part of the practice server system, you're considered a pro by everyone from the outside looking in. That's scrimming. That's what the open scrims is. Opens to becoming basically a pro, and practice servers, the hub that the pros compete in. And it's been around since the earliest days of Fortnite. But the best question here is, how did I get involved with this? How did I become a part of this? Because this directly correlates to my career of being a caster, a professional caster. So I gone through obviously the ringer with becoming a caster, in the sense that I was never trained professional when it came down to camera presence, how to speak, right? Or any of this stuff. I didn't know how to take a proper catch, deliver an ad read like that. I didn't know anything. I didn't have any proper training, but Epic gave me an opportunity to do casting for the first time. And that's how I got into it. And they continue to give me opportunity. And I met Golden Boy, and we just kept going. This whole thing built up. Fast forward to the World Cup. When the World Cup was ending and everyone's living on the highs of their lives, the biggest tournament in the world, I got to be a part of it. I was one of the very few casters that actually had the chance to cast one of the 6 games. Obviously, Dr. Lupo, Courage JD, Golden Boy, and myself were the only 4 casters to actually cast over the actual games that played. That was a big deal for me, but it was also the scariest thing, because once again in my career, when it ended, we hit the Epic Games radio silence. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, just the same way you can see streaming fade away and disappear, so can casting. And this is my first very raw, very real experience of what's next. They're not announcing anything. I'm just now getting my skin in the game, having the confidence to do this. How am I going to survive now, right? Because I put so much into being a caster. I literally sacrificed my channel. You guys know what it's like when you step away from your live stream. Those numbers go. Subs decline. The money is amazing being a caster, though. So it don't get me wrong, it was very much worth the trade-off. But as I realized the events were quote unquote drying up, there wasn't work available. And that's how I launched the practice server business side. And I legitimized it as a business, because then I realized, okay, there's clearly a lot of value. I'm getting paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do this. How are they securing this money to run this entire production and pay me absurd amounts of money? And I can only imagine what my peers are getting paid. Right? We're talking Lupo, we're talking Courage, we're talking Golden Boy. If I'm making a great living, their checks must be stupid. So if they can afford this, there must be some serious money in this business, and I need to figure it out. So I launched my own production business. That's how I got involved with the practice server. And I decided that I would never wait for someone to hire me. Instead, I'm going to work really hard to secure sponsors, deliver a premium product. And I come from a much different corner than anyone else, because I'm a content creator. I'm now a professional caster, and I understand what it's like to be on the talent side. So I filled the voids in those gaps when it comes down to me acquiring talent and putting on great shows. I come from the perspective of what I like to work and what I like to see. So all that put together, in the last 9 months, I've launched a very successful production business, which is the practice server. And we've leveraged our professional players, ecosystem, friendships, and all this reach that I have within the pros to build some really amazing shows and launch some great series, which has now led us to be a great white label for Fortnite Productions and other titles as well. We're doing Rocket League now, and we've really expanded. But it was because I just decided, man, I'm going to boss up, and there's no one. I'm not going to wait for opportunity. I'm going to create it.
It's amazing, dude. That's so cool. That's I think a reality that a lot of us faced was when COVID hit. Wow, it's not stable. We have no idea.
That's a whole different. That's crazy. So COVID helped my business a lot.
In that, yes.
After World Cup, COVID hadn't happened yet. It was just, I was realizing from my own perspective, yo, bro, there's no lands. What am I gonna do? I did TwitchCon, and then what was next? There was nothing. So I launched remote production, and that's the crazy part. I launched as a remote business because I realized if I could do this remote, which I knew we could, we developed a very great system. It's even better now. We developed a system though that I'm I don't need $1 million studio to make better content than these guys. So our price is amazing compared to these other competitors, and we're delivering the same high quality shows. COVID hits, everything dries up, everyone needs to go remote. We're way ahead of the game because we've already established an infrastructure for the last 3 to 6 months, which led us into COVID, which then we started to excel from there forwards.
That's incredible.
So timing on that one for sure.
God, fire me up. Fire me up. So okay. So to be honest, just to give you a little bit of a background on how I'm actually know about Open Scrims and the practice court and all that stuff is just like I've had many conversations with Zate and all the pros that were running it.
My boy.
From actually a data collection analytics like statistics standpoint. I've been kind of prodding that area the same way you were like, okay, there's a gap to fill here. I believe, just because of my experience in baseball, I believe that analytics are just the way, and especially how big it is in League of Legends, like how far ahead of the curve they are there. I'm like, the more these I tried to do it with Overwatch. The Overwatch League is what the Overwatch League is, and the opportunity wasn't actually as big as we thought it would be. But there's so many opportunities just with all these like third party like ancillary businesses built around a professional scene and game. But like you said, production, especially remote production, that's not going anywhere. That's only going to be more and more valuable the farther we go here, because when it comes to getting something produced in a very high quality way, cost, like the cost is always the main sticking point. Like, it's just big productions take a lot of money to do usually, and a lot of people and a lot of different expertises, and make sure it goes off without a hitch. And the better you do that, the more friction you remove from that system, dude. That's why I'm so fired up. I'm like, dude, damn, I wish I would have thought about it. But of course, you're on the production side. You had that unique, like, wait, everything dried up, but it didn't need to, right?
Exactly. And for me, it was just like, and not only that, I was in a unique position because, like, I'm popular, I'm accepted, and I'm loved by the Fortnite community. And people call it underrated or whatever, but like, people genuinely like to support me, and I have just enough supporters that and respect in the space that no one doubts the quality and or what it is that the legitimacy of what I'm bringing to the table. Exactly, because I'm a caster and I've been working for it. So and then I have this golden opportunity of these pros, like, to use those connections and have them play with me. They are so valuable. I mean, I know my values. I do sponsorships and activations and stuff. So they're, 5, 10 times, 100 times larger than my profile. To get them, to have them trust me and understand and want to work with me, we're just in such a great position to be successful and get premier people involved, and not even to have to pay for them, just because they love to support what we're doing and what we're building. So I took what opportunity that was being taken advantage of, quite frankly. Before it was Open Scrims, it was called something else, and I refused to give those guys any credit. So before I decided to rebrand the entire Open Scrims. This is all my idea. I built the Open Scrims, and then I said, yo, man, we can do production. I worked with a couple of my boys. We built a little team, and then we expanded. I actually acquired another up and coming, very small remote team. I brought them in, and that was the best decision of my life, was just expanding our team just a little bit more. And instead of like looking at people as competitors, I think first, how do I acquisition? I think first, like, I don't even want to compete with you. Like, you know what you're doing? Get on my team. Period.
Dude,
like,
that's the way, dude. Especially when it's smaller, right?
Yeah, and that's how we grew. So now I have like a tight 7 to 10 man team, and we're good. We're good at what we do. And a big part of it, one of the best parts of it, is I never have to worry about talent, because I'm like, what do you need done? Right? I fill so many hats and roles within this space.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you number one, dude, put people around that can, you can't do everything yourself. You got to learn that really quickly. It sounds like you learned it really quickly. And it's funny that you said the thing about the open scrims thing, because I thought when Zay told me about it, I was like, well, I wasn't happy. Mind you, right? Really, so I was brought in late. Yeah, I was brought in late, and I'm like, so what are these? What's this partner that we got? What are they bringing to the table? Nothing. Like, you understand value? Do you understand reach? Like, what do you mean nothing? We don't have anything. They said what? Where's the paperwork? No, doesn't exist. I was like, I was fuming. I was like, no, we're not doing that. So I started, then
I'm a savage when it comes down to the business side of it. I don't hold my tongue. I know value. I've been doing it for so long, and I'm not afraid to just be like, hey man, not every partnership, not every deal is going to be what I want to pursue. It's go big or go home, hit my quality levels, value us at where I believe we're valued, or someone else will. Keep it moving.
You and I need to talk more.
Absolutely speaking.
For sure. That's dope.
I mean, I'm sure you guys like the way that sounds, right? Sometimes you just got to say it, bro, and don't worry about what comes after, because as long as you're respectful, everyone has to respect someone who is willing to stand on their value, period.
Yeah. And some people won't, and who cares about them? You know what I mean?
And those are the guys, those are the scums that want to steal, and you're not going to steal from me, man. Sorry.
Love that so much.
Sorry,
we are
Trevor.
moving on. Thank you for that wonderful ad read. I will take it from here.
Thank you.
All right. So there's one question on everyone's mind. I'm sure Paul probably has no idea what I mean, but you are known, as you said, from our RP on GTA 5 as Kiki.
Correct.
So I want, and I'm sure every single listener would love to know the story behind Kiki. Where did she come from?
Yeah.
What is her deal?
What's her backstory?
For those people who haven't, because I'm sure when they're done listening, they're gonna go check it out.
No, it's going to happen.
But for those of people that don't know,
yeah,
what it is,
yeah,
let them know what it is.
Little spiel, little. Yeah. So let's walk back in time. So, 4 years ago, Private Milton T. Pike won in Her Majesty's Canadian Royal Armed Forces. The thing about the regiment, this is all connected, and you'll see where it ties in. This is Kiki's birth story.
Damn.
In the Army, it was basically seen as like initiation into the unit for you to do a cycle, a big old cycle of steroids. It was usually Anavar, human growth hormone, and as much intense shit as you can get. I would say if you put me in a room with 10 of my friends in the Army, at least 7 of them had done a full cycle at least once. Everybody did it.
I'm
sorry. We gotta win.
I don't understand. Yeah. So I just want to be absolutely sure I know what you're talking about. So you're like, hey, there's this thing you got to do since you're in here now. You have to take let's just say it's 10. You have to take 10 different steroids in a certain amount of time for our enjoyment.
Pretty much. And I mean, if I'm being really truthful, maybe it's not 70%, but it was seen as like, if you're like the hee-ho infantry guy, then you were expected to like be peripherally associated with the powerlifting team. And you were expected to be at the gym all the time. And it was expected that you were going to be attaining peak performance, whatever that looked like. And so a lot of my friends who were 18, 19 years old were doing these massive, terrifying cycles of a huge amount of chemicals that they knew nothing about. One of these friends, we'll call him Brad.
His name was Brad, wasn't it?
Sure. Brad. No, I'm trying to find one as different from his actual name as I can, so that if he's listening, he doesn't think that I'm talking about him. But when he hears the details of the story, he'll know that I am. So, Brad was like 6'9" and 110 pounds on a soaking wet day. So not a big guy, tall, not very built. And he wanted to basically get the fucking carpool lane to fitness. And he figured that would be taking a massive cycle of Anavar, HGH, Tren, Deca, testosterone, propionate, and 1 or 2 other cocktail. Now, the thing is, people who are taking this incredible cycle, the ones that I knew, there are 1 or 2 places that you could take this vitamin S. And that was either in your quad, where not a lot of guys wanted to do it because then they wanted to go and do leg day and do squats in the gym, or in the ass cheek. Yep. And so, because I was one of the very few people who didn't do this, I was seen as being tangentially useful in helping people, quote unquote, pin. So,
hold on, looking up tangentially. Hold on.
Circumreferentially.
Looking
you know,
up circumreferentially.
I was photosynthetically associated with my.
All right. Now you're just trolling.
So like I never ever tried any of the substances, but because I didn't do that, because like my roommate was doing it and a bunch of my friends were, they thought that at the very least, if I wasn't willing to be one of the boys and do this, that the least I could do is help them do it, help them do their dose. And they had to do it every alternating day. And so it turned into this weird thing where every now and then my friends would be like, hey Milton, can you I gotta talk to you upstairs for a minute. And I'd be like, what? I'm like, I gotta talk to you upstairs. And I'm like, okay. And I'd go upstairs and my friend would just like pull down their pants and just like bend over their ass, their chocolate starfish just staring me in the face. I'm like, Milton! Can you help me, Milton? I'm like, oh my God. So I got really, really good at injecting my friends' asses with steroids. And so my good friend Brad was doing such a huge cycle. Like he was doing like $2,700 a month, which is a huge amount for an infantry soldier who probably doesn't even make that much in salary. And I'm just the big one for him, the one that I think really fucked him up the most was Tren. Tren is a substance that hits the body incredibly hard. And when you think of people that have roid rage, it's usually Tren that does it. Or Tren is one of the big ones that'll do it. So anyways, my friend Brad, there I am pinning every second day. And then every now and then he'd come upstairs in the morning to like put away his stuff and get ready for the workday. And this is a soldier. And he said, look, he'd like be opening his locker and he'd drop his like duffel bag and he would lose his mind at the fact that he dropped his own duffel bag. Go, fuck! And he'd like punch his fucking, like rip the door off his locker, and then he'd sit and cry for 5 minutes and he'd be like, oh fuck man, I need to smoke. And he'd go outside and I was like, dude, what is this doing to your body? And anyways, the day that I really realized that this guy was like in over his head was when he started to lactate. This like 19-year-old dude was literally lactating, and he'd sit there and go, oh fuck man, like I think I'm sick. And I'd be like, what? And I'd look over and he would literally be lactating. He'd have 2 wet spots on his shirt.
That's not possible. That you can't
look it up. Look it up. Look it up. 100%. It was yeah. Look up like can men lactate steroids? Yeah. You'll see, man.
Steroids.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah. So as a quick explanation, so as a quick explanation for anyone who doesn't really understand how that works, basically the male body has testosterone and estrogen. And when you artificially increase your testosterone levels by taking steroids, your body tries to maintain the ratio. Let's say for men, it's 4-to-1, 4 parts testosterone to 1 part estrogen. I don't actually know what the ratio is, but let's just say it is. If you suddenly have 8 parts testosterone, your body is now going to try to automatically up it to 2 parts estrogen. And when you're taking these huge, ridiculous cocktails of chemicals, it really fucks with your body's hormones, including estrogen, and weird things can happen, like lactating. And so I watched this happening to my friend who was just going insane as these emotions and hormones were wreaking havoc on his body, and I begged him to stop. And eventually one of the things that I was proud of was that I eventually just refused. I stopped helping everyone, even my roommate. I refused to help any of them pin because I'd say, you guys don't understand what you're doing to your body. And the big thing that I disagreed with was every single one of them didn't want to pay for what's called your post cycle. After you do a cycle of steroids, you're supposed to do what's called a post cycle. And that's what helps to re-regulate your hormones, to get you back to no longer being on synthetic testosterone. And these guys would skip that. And suddenly their fucking back would turn into hit the skit to the fucking pizza factory covered in acne. And they're just going crazy. Like I remember my roommate's problem was that he couldn't stop jacking off like 30 times a day. He'd just sit in his room and I'd hear him like crying. He'd be like, ah, dude.
Where's Kiki at?
Yeah, so when I made Kiki, when I made Kiki, I thought it would be funny if I made a character whose past was that she was a bodybuilder who took huge amounts of anabolic steroids to try to give her a competitive edge. And it led to her taking such a massive cycle of tren that she crushed her competitor's head between her legs like a watermelon, and then had to basically flee from the area and take up the mantle of fashion to try to get away from the powerlifting world. And that was what was supposed to also account for the fact that I don't really sound like a 30-year-old lady, I don't think. And that was what I used to sort of explain that, because Kiki has a daughter. Like Kiki is all woman, but I had to come up with an explanation for the reason that she looks like Russell Crowe and also sounds like Darth Sidious. And I figured the explanation would be that she was some fucking psychopathic weightlifter who just poured every single resource she had into winning, and that meant taking these huge doses of steroids. And so the reason that I actually decided to make her was because when I was trying to get into the server to play GTA, I was initially going to make a Russian gangster, and the Russian gangster was going to be a guy named Yuri Strokemeoff. And I was waiting in TeamSpeak to get into the server, and they were like, "Oh, hey, Milton, what are you gonna make?" And I was like, I was thinking of making a guy named Yuri Strokemeoff. And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go in there like, hello, hi, my name is Yuri Strokemeoff. I'm strong like bull, but smart like tractor." And then I realized, and then they're like, "Dude, there are 32 players online right now, and 29 of them are Russian gangsters." And I was like, "Oh, well, shit. I don't want to just do the same old thing." And then so we were sitting there, and someone said something like, "Oh, Milton, if you get into the server before I do, I'm gonna put my whole foot up your ass." And I was like, "Ooh, sounds good. Count me in for a fun time." And they're like, "That's it. That's the voice. That's the character. You have to build a character around that." And I thought, oh shit, okay. And the character came together in about like 3 minutes in a TeamSpeak conversation. And then I fleshed out the rest of the background with the powerlifting and the tren. And then the magic happened. Took off from there. She took on a life of her own. I'm no longer in control. She's the one in control.
That was so.
There's the story. Now you know. Now everyone has an explanation for why Kiki is the way that she is.
I forgot where we were. I didn't know.
An RP character. Like, why would you take it back to when I used to inject people with steroids?
So there I was, up to my elbow in my friend's ass, and sticking him with human growth hormone.
Oh my lord!
What is your life?
Extremely creative and unique. Unique is the word.
Trevor's like, where is Kiki?
We got there eventually.
Oh my god!
There eventually,
dude. When everyone was RPing, oh god. She's hilarious, man. You guys gotta check out Kiki. You gotta go watch. You just gotta watch.
She's a blast, man. She's a blast.
I really want you to make an autobiography.
Holy shit!
Like an audiobook autobiography. That's what needs to happen. Holy hell! Because I laugh because it's easy, but I feel like it's sad in a way. But like I feel like the first in between you graduating from high school and like getting to streaming was just like a bunch of people telling you how to live your life. Yes. And you're like, okay, and then did it.
And then now you're just in full control. You know what I mean? You're the puppet master.
Holy hell!
That's the thing. I've been just saying yes sir, 3 bags full sir for so long that now that I'm in control, I'm like, I don't really know what to do, but I guess I'm gonna try this. Woo! Let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
that's where Kiki came from.
That's where Kiki came from. If you were wondering, now you know. Guys.
Now you know where Kiki comes from.
I bet you didn't guess right.
Holy. No one guessed. I bet he used to shoot up steroids into his friend's butts in the military. That's where she came from.
Gotta be it.